I've sold properties that are literally boarded up that had unplanned swimming pools in the basement, if you know what I mean. The right price gets it done. It just gets it done. The right price, the right buyer. So, yes, all roads definitely lead back to price. Hi, and welcome back to Talking Realty, the go-to podcast for home sellers looking to make more money, save time, and avoid headaches. Whether you're selling a flip, a new build, an income property, or the place you call home, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Glen Whitten, 20-year broker and founder of the Ohio Property Group, where we help home sellers get the most out of their property. Most home sellers hate paying huge commissions to realtors. At the Ohio Property Group, we do the same things as all other realtors, but instead of charging a 6% commission, we charge a low flat fee to sell your home. So our sellers save thousands of dollars and get much better results. To learn more, head over to talkingrealty.com. While you're there, sign up for our monthly newsletter or pick up any of our free seller tools. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Talking Realty podcast so you never miss a thing. All right, let's get to it. So today's episode is continuing on our last episode. We're going to talk about truth number 2. And truth number 2 is sort of a sister to truth number 1. Truth number 1, for those of you who missed it, if you want to go back to episode 6, you can catch it. That is, the market never lies, not ever. So the corollary or sister truth to this, and the reason this is truth number 2 is because we don't use it quite as often. But truth number 2 is if it's not selling, it's overpriced, period. So years ago, when I was a fledgling realtor working for Remax, I got a call from a local bookstore. I went in there a lot because it was a small town and I drank a lot of coffee. So they had a coffee shop / bookstores run by these ladies and kind of like just an interesting little hangout spot. Anyway, I picked up a book in there called Move Your Stuff, Change Your Life. And it was all about the use of Feng Shui when you're living your life or selling a home or whatever you happen to be doing. And I just thought it was a cool book. I had heard about it somewhere and decided to go order a copy. So rather than jump on Amazon, this was probably 2001, 2002. I'm sure they were around, but whatever. Anyway, they weren't as ubiquitous as they are now. But anyway, I went into the bookstore and I ordered this book and I go back in to pick it up later. And one of the owners was like, this is an interesting book. I was kind of leafing through it before you came to get it. So what's the story? And so I just kind of told her I was interested in Feng Shui and not like a practitioner or anything, but just felt like it was a topic I wanted to learn more about. And it's funny, fast forward all these years later, episode 4 of this podcast, I had Kim Julene as my guest, and she is a Feng Shui master. So you should check that episode out as well. But anyway, so fast forward a little ways, and the bookstore coffee shop decided to have a guest speaker book discussion night and invited me to come and speak about Feng Shui, because apparently with my one book purchase, I was the local expert now. But, I was a rookie-ish realtor. I think I was in my second year and I was doing all right, but you don't turn down a chance to talk to people if you're in real estate, especially when you're new and you're trying to get to know people. And mind you, I had just moved to that town about 30 days before I started my job as a realtor from another state. So it's not even like I knew too many people. I knew the people my wife was related to, and that was it. That's the only and the people I worked with, and that was it. So it was a good chance for me to get to know some more people. But anyway, so here I am. I prepared all this information about Feng Shui, and I gave it a real estate slant. And toward the end of the talk, I had a sort of a Q&A session where I was just praying that nobody would ask me any questions because I really wasn't an expert. I was just a guy who read a book about it. So I guess, whatever. Anyway, so this lady raises her hand and she says, I've got a question. Can Feng Shui help me sell my house? And she said, "Let me tell you a little bit about the situation. We're in year 2. It's been on the market for 2 years, and I'm on my 3rd realtor, and that listing is almost up. So I'm considering going with a different realtor." So this would be realtor, what, number 4? Realtor number 4. And she said, "So is there some stuff I can move around in my house that would, help me with my home sale?" And, not being a feng shui expert, but knowing a little bit about real estate, without even thinking, I just said, "Oh, I know what your problem is. Your price is too high." And a few people chuckled, and I turned beet red because I was the typical of Glenn. I spoke before I thought, and this was way before I was writing about this stuff. This just fell out of my mouth. And she's like, "How do you even know? This house is 2 hours from here. You've never seen it." And I said, "Well, I mean, just basic logic. No disrespect, ma'am, but it's been on the market for 2 years, and you've had 3 different realtors. So I don't care if the house is haunted and sitting on a toxic waste dump. There's a price that will get that house sold today." That's my personal belief. Every house has a price. And the fact that your house is for sale with a realtor tells me a couple things. One, you've got a sign in the yard. I know that to be true. And two, you're in the MLS, which means you're on quite a few public websites. And mind you, this was 20 years ago, so it wasn't quite the hit that it is now. But even then, buyers knew how to get on realtor.com. Realtor.com was kicked off in 96. So I knew that I was on solid ground. It just didn't matter. She just said, "Well, maybe I need to replace the carpet. Maybe I need this. Maybe I need that." No, I mean, you can do all those things, but what are you doing? You're just raising the value proposition for the buyer. That's all you're doing. You're making the house more valuable. And what I'm telling you is that if you want to sell the house today, you either need to increase the value of the house to match the price that you're selling it for, or you need to bring the price down to its current value. And I'm not here to argue that it is or isn't worth what you're asking. I'm only telling you that the people who really matter, which are the buyers who are looking for homes in your market, they're the ones telling you it's not worth it. Because if they thought it was worth it, they'd be writing you an offer and you'd be packing your stuff and moving. So I know I'm right, but I really didn't have a lot of experience at that point to back that up. So fast forward all these years, and here I am with my own firm, and my gosh, other than truth number 1, which is the market never lies, this is probably the second most often conversation had, and it always happens after we list. So if we list, and one thing you should know about our company is that we don't tell people what to list their house for. We make recommendations. We do market analyses. We give updates and things like that. But at the end of the day, we advise you decide. Like, it's not my house. If you want it to sit out there for 2 years in this case, it's no skin off my nose. I mean, I'm gonna do what you want to do because, hey, what do I know? Maybe somebody will come along tomorrow and give you what you're asking for. Eventually, the market will catch up with you. Eventually, if you leave your house, I knew this couple, I wrote about them in my book. They had their house on the market for 4 years. Not all of it was with me, just the tail end. They were for sale by owner for most of that time. And what's funny is I told him in the beginning, before he listed with me, "Hey, it's either you're extremely hard-headed or you really want that price." He said, "No, that's the number we want. We don't have to sell. And if the only way we're going to sell is if we get that number. Swear to you, sitting at closing, that man looked at me and said, 'I told you so. I told you I would get my number.'" Now, it took him 4 years, but he got it. So the point is, eventually, the market will catch up to you. The market will, it generally increases over time. Yes, there are dips and there are valleys and things like that, but most things with inflation and appreciation, they go up. All right. So, but anyway, we have to have this conversation a lot with sellers. And many times they come to me and they want to tell me it's the carpet, or they want to tell me, "Hey, maybe we should update our kitchen. Maybe we should do something with the landscape. Maybe we should," oh, or maybe it's because we live by that busy road, or uh, we're too close to XYZ or too far from XYZ, whatever it is. They'll even blame the HVAC, the roof, the windows. All of that, folks, is kind of calculated in the price. It's all because if it had brand new windows, a brand new roof, it was in the perfect location. If it was next to a beach in San Diego, it'd be worth a whole lot more. So, we can't change some of these things. And as a seller, if you want to go in and replace the carpet and paint and update the kitchen and do the landscaping, I applaud you. But don't expect to get 100% return on that investment. There are a few things you can do that really get you massive return on investment, and I'm sure they'll cover those at some point in this podcast. But they're by and large remodeling the entire house, unless you bought it at flip level prices and you know what you're doing, that's generally not a great way to make money. You're much better off most of the time fixing what's broken. Always fix what's broken, please, because nothing, I mean, you'll get a great return on that investment. So if you got a leaky pipe, fix the stupid leaky pipe. If you've got broken stuff, I encourage you, get it fixed. Just get it fixed. Oh, there's truth number 4 is that buyers look for reasons not to buy, and we'll deep dive that in another episode. But the reality is, if you've got broken things, you need to get those not broken. And then you really should disclose them so that the buyer's not completely thrown off when they find out about it, which they will, especially if you had a basement leak or you had a yard that pooled water or you had a roof leak, something like that. Eventually, the buyer's going to find out that you had this problem. If you fixed it, great. But if you disclose it, even better. But anyway, everything here, even the floor plan of the house, it all leads back to the price. So we'll have people negotiate a house from a buyer side, maybe even in multiples, and they'll bid it, bid it, bid it, bid it, and it'll get way up. And then during inspections, they'll come back and say, well, we're going to need a discount on this house because the HVAC is 20 years old, or the roof is 20 years old, or, that carpet in the family room is pretty worn. We're going to need you to bring that price down. And my response is always the same. First of all, nobody told you that it was new. And by the way, if that stuff had been new, you wouldn't have got it for this price. So sorry, but if we calculated all those things all those things that the seller is telling me, this is why my house isn't selling, the house would be worth what you're asking. So don't price your house here if it's only worth down here somewhere. You're just going to frustrate yourself. And if you do price yourself that way, just be prepared to dig in and wait. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe other realtors do, but I don't. So at some point, all of these discussions lead back to one thing, and that's the price. So you can come up with any reason you want, and I will argue that if you lowered your price far enough, it wouldn't matter. That old carpet, the old roof, the old HVAC wouldn't matter. I've sold properties that are literally boarded up that had unplanned swimming pools in the basement, if you know what I mean. The right price gets it done. It just gets it done. The right price, the right buyer. So yes, all roads definitely lead back to price. Hey, real quick, if I told you that you could make more money and dodge a whole bunch of headaches the next time you sell, you'd want in, right? Well, Living to Listing is the online course if you want to become an expert at turning any property into the perfect listing. You'll learn how to eliminate countless problems so it sells faster and for more money. We've identified and solved the most common pitfalls that always seem to show up and cost you thousands of dollars or even kill the deal. And we've learned the best way to solve a problem is just to avoid it altogether by prepping your home the right way. In Living to Listing, you'll get hands-on checklists, resources for each part of the process, along with short videos from me walking you through every step. And here's my promise. If this course doesn't meet your high standards, just let me know and I'll refund you. So you got nothing to lose. Check out, I've got a bunch of different free preview videos at livingtolisting.com. That's livingtolisting.com, and see for yourself. Let me know what you think. Now, the next question is, how far over? Because so once we've gotten through to the seller that, hey, you're overpriced. If you want to sell this house, you need to get closer to the market value, at least for today, or you can wait. We'll cover that later, but that's it. Those are your two choices. You can lower your price or you can wait. I don't care. But if they want to lower the price, the very next question is, well, how much should we lower it? And for that, we kind of look at the data and say, okay, well, let's take a look at your website views. And if we look across the entire spectrum of the websites that we cover, it's going to be a very high number. So I know they're getting views. And they generally have a sign in the yard. Very rare for me to take a listing that doesn't have a sign in the yard. So, okay. So if I've got a listing that's on the MLS, it's got a sign in the yard, I know it's getting tens of thousands of hits, whether drive-bys or web views, it's getting lots and lots of hits. So if you're getting tons of views and clicks on those views, and for you old schoolers, if you've got a flyer box and the flyers are disappearing out of the flyer box, to me, that's as good as a website click. So those are all indicators of traffic. Somebody saw the house, slowed down, got out, pulled out a flyer, and then they didn't call you. So they didn't set up a showing. So if you're getting tons of views and clicks and flyers and drive-bys and you're not getting any showings, you are probably 5, as high as maybe 10, maybe more, I don't know. But generally speaking, you're probably 5 to 10% over price. And that is a staggering number for some people. So if you want to chunk it down slowly, that's fine. We'll talk about that in a second. If you're getting showings, but no offers, then you're probably 2 to 5% away. And you should also, if you're getting a ton of showings and nobody's making offers, you need to go back and look at your marketing because you are attracting the wrong buyer. So something about the photos or the description, or if you did the old, we have a basement that you can barely stand up in, but somehow we managed to convince our realtor that it was an extra 1,000 square feet. Yeah, that'll get you showings, but it's not going to get you offers. So don't lie to people to get them there. Don't tell them it's a 4-bedroom when the 4th bedroom is actually just a pass-through hallway that you stuck a bed in. That's not a 4th bedroom. So things like that. If you pull people in deceptively, guess what? They're not going to buy. And if they do buy, they're not going to trust you. And you need trust to trust me. You need trust to get from contract to close. You need a lot of it. All right. So if you're getting offers, well, guess what? The market has spoken. And as we know from truth number 1, the market never lies. The market never lies, folks. Not ever. So that's kind of my dissertation on that. And if you're not wanting to be a freewheeler and just say, oh, Glenn says I'm 10% over, I'll just lop 10% off the price. Certainly you can do that because as we pointed out in the last episode, even if you go too low, the market's going to correct you. You're going to get multiple buyers. They're going to push the property back up because that's what market value is. That's the very definition of market value is what a seller will sell for and a buyer will pay. That's market value. Okay. So if you want to, you can certainly chunk down slowly from where you are, just, a few thousand or 5,000, or depending on how high your price, maybe more like 10 or 15,000, depending, again, if you're above $1 million, then a $5,000 price change probably isn't going to do much to move the needle because it's such a low percentage of your overall price. So just start coming down and watch the showings. So first of all, verify that the price change happened in the MLS level, because then it should immediately, within hours, you should see it populating everywhere. And everybody's getting those alerts because not only the people that are tracking your house, the people whose price range matches, even if they saw it the first time, if you do a price correction, they're going to get alerted again. And big benefit, if you've got buyers whose price you are now entering because they capped out that the top of their range was lower than what you were asking, they weren't even seeing your house, So now you're going to be fishing in a new pond at that point. So you're going to be starting to attract the right buyers at that point. And guess what? That activity is going to show up. I don't care how long you've been on the market. Once you find the right price range for today's market, activity will start. It always does, because those buyers are still trolling and they're waiting for value. So as soon as you show up on their radar as a value, then you're going to get those showings. And those showings are going to more often lead to buyers. I've had properties 6, 8, 10 months on the market, finally get into the right price range, and we go into multiple offers. How about that? So I know I'm right. I know that probably sounds worse than I meant it to sound, but I know this is true. How about that? Because, I do this hundreds and hundreds of times a year. Keep in mind, the average realtor does 2 to 4 deals a year. That's average. which means at least half of the 1.5 million realtors in the United States are doing fewer than that. I'm doing 8 to 10 deals a week. That's just our average for the last several years. And so this isn't based on projection. This isn't academic, sitting in a room. This is real life from the front lines. So just keep that in mind, that if you're wanting to sell, you're on the market, you've got a sign in the yard, you're on hundreds of websites. If you're not getting offers, you either need to increase the value of the home, which is really hard to do, or you need to lower the price. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but those are your only options. Now, if you do go back to episode 4 and listen to Kim Julene, she actually is the first person that's really pushed hard back on me, because she believes that there are some Feng Shui related, energetically related reasons why a perfectly priced house might not be selling. And I'm not here to say Kim's wrong, because she's got a lot of experience in what she does. She's been doing this for years. So there definitely is some relief there. You may want to consult someone who's an expert in this. Maybe she does like house clearings. She does energetic resets. She helps, stage the property so it's more attractive, things like that. You can go back to episode 4, check that out. All the links to her resources are there. But barring a Feng Shui episode, I'm going to tell you that it's the price. So that's my dissertation on that. If you do decide to lower the price, though, one of my favorite moves, we call it internally the 1-2 punch, is to lower the price on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, maybe even as late as Thursday, and then immediately announce an open house for that Saturday. Now, I love Saturday noon to 2. I like Saturday 1 to 3. Unless I'm competing with like an Ohio State football game or something like that, then that's just suicide. So you don't want to do that. So assuming you're not competing with an Ohio State football game or something like that, I like early, short, weekend open houses. We'll cover that in more depth another time. But for now, whenever you do your open house, make sure you do the price change midweek. Have your realtor announce the open house. You can change your signage and get it pumped through the MLS so it gets out to all the public websites. That way, buyers who are interested now have a free opportunity to get out there. And if your realtor won't host the open house, you should probably call me, because we have our sellers host their own open houses as often as they want. And guess what? They love it. We even have some realtors that we keep around that like to host open houses in exchange for leads, but that's a different topic. But anyway, run the 1-2 punch, give it through the weekend. If you're not seeing offers, you can either give it another weekend or do another 1-2 punch. But that's it. That's your pattern. Every 1 to 2 weeks, if you're serious about selling now, every 1 to 2 weeks, I want you to do a midweek price adjustment. Don't care what it is. And then announce that open house at the same time. Host the 1 to 2 hour open house on Saturday as early as you can. Don't go early morning, because that's hard. I'd say lunchtime to mid-afternoon is probably where you want it. That's your sweet spot. That's the way to go. And then wait, see what happens. Market activity will increase as you get closer and closer. Your views are going to go up. Again, no matter how long it's been on the market, the views are going to start going up. Your showings are going to start going up. And your offers are going to start coming in. And doesn't mean they're going to be the ones you want, but the more offers you get, the more likely you are to start a bidding war and get back to the top range of market value. So there you have it, folks. Truth number 2, if it's not selling, it's overpriced, period. Well, thanks for sticking around. Hopefully you got something out of today's episode, or, at least had a little fun. Before we go, a quick reminder that the Talking Realty podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Property Group, a family-owned brokerage serving all 88 Ohio counties with realtor services. If today's conversation sparked a new idea, maybe answered a burning question, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with friends or family who might benefit from it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Talking Realty podcast so you never miss a thing. By the way, if you have questions, topics, great stories you want to tell me, something to cover in a future episode, I would love to hear from you. Just head over to talkingrealty.com and say hi. So thanks again for joining us. Until next time, keep making smart moves in your real estate journey. This is Glen Whitten signing off. And remember, you can sell it. We can help.